Okay, so you're prepping for your community medicine exams, and you know the Dakshata program is a big one. In this quick explainer, we're going to break down the absolute must-know, high-yield points you need to have ready to ace any question on it. So let's kick things off with the fundamental question that really drove this whole initiative. And seriously, this isn't just background noise. Understanding this why is absolutely crucial for nailing any long answer question on the topic. Now, this chart really shows you the problem, the core paradox. While overall child mortality was thankfully falling, that blue line, representing deaths in the first week of life, the ENMR, was just stubbornly flat. This was a huge red flag for policymakers. It proved that simply getting more women to deliver in hospitals, well, it wasn't the whole answer. There was a dangerous gap in the quality of care being delivered at that critical moment. To make this super easy to revise, we'll walk through 6 key areas. We'll start with that quality paradox, define the program itself, look at its strategy and key interventions, see how it's all monitored, and then finish up with a rapid-fire exam recap. First up, the quality paradox. Look, if a question asks you why Dakshasena was created, this is your answer right here. So here is that paradox in a nutshell. On one hand, you had programs like Janani Suraksha Yojana doing a fantastic job driving up the quantity of hospital births. But on the other hand, the death rates for mothers and newborns just weren't dropping as expected. That mismatch pointed to one single urgent problem. The quality of care just wasn't keeping up. Okay, so we've got this major quality gap. How did the government of India respond? Well, this brings us to the Dakshata initiative itself. The government's response was Dakshata. And you know, the name itself is a massive clue and definitely a potential exam point. Dakshata is a Sanskrit word for adroitness or skill. That tells you right off the bat that the program's focus wasn't on infrastructure, but on empowering healthcare providers to be more competent and more confident. And just look at the official goal here. The strategy isn't just reduce mortality. It's to reduce mortality by creating competent and confident providers. This is a really critical distinction. It explicitly identifies the healthcare worker's skill as the primary tool, the main lever, for improving outcomes for both mother and baby. So, how do you take that goal and translate it into a national strategy? Let's have a look at the blueprint they came up with for building that quality. The strategy basically attacks the problem on 4 fronts, and you can think of these as the 4 pillars of quality. It recognizes that training alone is never enough. You need skilled providers, sure, but they also need to have the right equipment, they need ongoing support with mentorship, and the whole system has to be held accountable by solid data. And those drivers translate into these 5 core objectives. Now, this is a classic short note question, so you're gonna want to remember these. 1, strengthen skills. 2, make sure those skills are actually used in practice. 3, get the necessary supplies where they need to be. 4, track everything with data. And 5, a longer-term goal to implement the full MANH toolkit. So how does Dakshata take these objectives and put them into action on the ground? What does this actually look like inside a busy labor room? Well, the answer comes down to a single, powerful tool. The entire intervention, from the training to the monitoring, is built around a modified WHO Safe Childbirth Checklist. It is the operational core of Dakshata, and it's designed to standardize best practices even in the most high-pressure environments. The way this checklist works is just brilliant. It organizes dozens of critical actions into 4 simple pause points. You can think of these as mandatory safety huddles, one on admission, another just before pushing, one right after delivery, and a final one at discharge. It's a structure that is intuitive, evidence-based, and highly effective. Of course, having a great checklist is one thing, but a key part of ensuring quality is effective monitoring and accountability. After all, you can't improve what you don't measure. This accountability comes from the Dakshata dashboard. And a pro tip? Mentioning this in Aviva shows you understand the full quality improvement cycle. The dashboard tracks crucial indicators, both positive practices like administering oxytocin correctly and negative outcomes like postpartum hemorrhage. This data loop provides vital feedback to everyone, from the local facility all the way up to the state level. All right, let's do a rapid recap. These are the absolute must-know points for any question that comes up on Dakshata. First, always remember the fundamental problem, the quality of care paradox. Just getting women to the hospital wasn't enough. Second, the core mission. Dakshata represents a huge strategic shift from focusing on the quantity of births to the quality of care for every single mother and newborn. Third, the central intervention. If you remember only one thing, make it the Safe Childbirth Checklist, organized around its 4 practical and evidence-based pause points. And finally, remember the specific time frame. Dakshata zeroes in on the highest risk period for both mother and child, the hours during and immediately following childbirth. And that's your high-yield review of the Dakshata program. As you prepare, think about that final question. How can the lessons from Dakshata really shape the future of health policy in India? We hope this helps, and all the very best with your exams.